Hey, all board gamerants here. We will find everything solo tabletop gaming and more. This is my take on Dungeon Alliance from a solo perspective. Designed by Andrew Parks, published by Quixotic Games. Let's check it out and then I'll get back to you with my thoughts. All right, here we are, Dungeon Alliance. I got it set up to play solo, and this is the dungeon. It's kind of a 3x3 grid. You start off on a starting tile. You got your 4 heroes. That's your Dungeon Alliance. And these heroes are all represented by these cards, and they have little tokens that tell you when you've activated them or not. And each one of those heroes comes with a starting set of 3 cards that are kind of unique to them. You're going to take all these cards. You're going to bundle them all together. You're going to shuffle them, because it is essentially a deck building game. And then you're going to get going, and you're going to use those cards to activate your heroes and explore the dungeon. So these heroes were chosen randomly. There's actually 17 heroes, and so I randomly picked the heroes, and after I knew what heroes, there's the stack that has all 3 cards for each hero. And quests. So quests, you can play with a quest variant, and I do. And there's sort of, you can play, there's 1, 2, 3 that you'll always play with, and they're kind of, well, they're not always, they're randomized, but I should say their difficulty is always, there's a lower difficulty and a middle difficulty, and the highest difficulty is trying to defeat this bad guy. But you'll pick those randomly out of this stack each time you play, so the quests will vary. And over here you have all your bad guys that you might see out in the dungeon as you explore it, because you're going to explore these tiles. And this stack is put together for a single player. There's a certain number of level 1, level 2, and level 3 in here that you'll reveal, of course, from level 1 down to level 3. And I've got 2 level 1s out. You'll always have 2 exposed, so you can kind of see what you might be exploring. And then you'll take these, you'll end up putting them out on the board, and that's how you'll be exploring the dungeon in this 3x3 fashion. And then, of course, with the rooms, each come with a different set of bad guys and or challenges. So the challenges are over here, and these get put on the board randomly. And then the challenges, though, as you flip them over, they've all got their own little different goodies that happen. And then these cards explain what those goodies are. I got some health tokens over here. I've got some more victory point tokens here. This is sort of a spare stash, because ultimately what you do is you go out and you're taking out all these bad guys. You're going to get victory points. Like this spider would give you 1 victory point. This spider attacks for 3, can move for a value of 4, has 1 health and 2 armor, basically is what that means. Over here, these cards all represent the tokens, and they explain things in more detail, just what they do. Each bad guy kind of has its own different thing that they get to specialize in. And these are the easiest guys. You get your zombies all the way down to, you know, Hydra down here. And over here, we're going to be processing through these victory points as we play the game. So first, we're going to take from this stack. There's 8 victory points. When you play a solo game, the first stash you got to go through as you earn victory points is this. Then you destroy your poor hero. That poor guy tripped. Then after you get through this, then you go through the second stash. Then you start pulling from just over here as you keep gaining victory points. Why that matters is because up here, this is how you build your deck. You got a stack of level 1 cards here that you can add to these. I was saying they'll all be bundled together. You'll be able to purchase cards with your victory points. So the victory points kind of act as money. You just flip them over when you've used them. So after you've killed, say, oh, I killed the spider. Now I take this victory point and put it there. Now I want to buy, what do I want to buy? I want to buy this bash card. So I take this bash card, and then I take this victory point. This costs 1, flip it over. You don't lose your victory points. This is how you're going to score at the end. At the end, you get to flip them all over and add up all the values, but you spend them to buy cards. And when you're buying cards too, you'll notice up here you've got different race, different ability things up on the top left. Your heroes can only play cards that match up with their abilities and their race. And so when you're purchasing cards, you have to keep that in mind. Like this one's nice, is it's kind of like anybody can use Boots of Speed, but only an assassin could use Silver Dagger. So for instance, Eminon, because he has an assassin ability, and so does Graltar, they could both use this card, but not the other two heroes. So that's something to keep in mind. And as you churn through and finally gather all of these, then you unlock the level 2 cards. So you'll get rid of this level 1 stack, replace it with the level 2s, and then those will start coming out. And then once you get through these victory points, then you'll unlock the artifacts, which are the level 3 cards, and those will replace the level 2 cards, and those will start coming out, and artifacts are of course very strong. So this will go up. It'll start here. This tracks your drafted cards. So in the beginning, you only have 12 cards in your deck. And then you're going to draft cards. This will go up, this will go up, and go up. Each time it goes up, you're going to be able to do a little bit better stuff. You're going to be able to get rid of cards that you don't like out of your hand, and you're going to be able to draw more cards into your hand. So in the beginning, you can only, at the end of a given turn, discard 1 and draw back up to your hand limit of 6. Near the end, you're probably going to have tons of drafted cards. You're going to be able to discard 5 and get 8 total in your hand after you've discarded whatever you want. And so that's the gist of the game. And I'll let you know what I think about it here. Oh, well, you know, one thing else to go over. So how long is the game, or how does it play? Really, you basically take a turn, you'll activate a character. Then the game uses this stack of cards here that tell you what the bad guys that are on the board are going to do. Then you go back, you activate another guy, a little more. Then you'll have a little discard up here, and then you find out, you know, the game responds, and then you take another turn. Back and forth you go 4 times till you've activated all your guys. The game's gone 4 times. It's the end of the round. You're going to do some reset stuff, and then you're going to play a total of 4 rounds that way. At the end of those 4 rounds, so a total of 16 turns, you'll score based on how many victory points you got, and you'll get penalized for certain things like not having explored all the tiles or not having taken out all the bad guys. So there you have it. Dungeon Alliance. It's a dungeon crawl, like so many others. The box, I think, looks a little better than the game actually is, quite frankly. It's an okay game, and I like it. I played it about 5 times, 6 times now, solo, and the beginning, it was, woo, this is going to take a little bit to wrap my head around, but really it wasn't. After I got to the 2nd and 3rd game, I was moving pretty quick. And then the 4th and 5th, it just really started feeling okay. But that's, you know, there's just no, it seems like things only went so far. The mechanics were good, but they only went so far, and they kind of fell flat. Like the quests, you do these quests, but there's like a ability to trigger them, and then you resolve them. And the triggers were like you just did a certain action a few times, and then you resolve them. You did they were like tasks. They didn't feel like quests, I guess. And you know, another thing, the challenges, these challenge tokens that would show up in the rooms, they were, I don't know if there's just not enough of them. I mean, if you open up a treasure, it didn't give you a treasure. It just gave you some XP points. You know, I think there's if you did the Kickstarter, you got some more stuff there to liven that whole thing up again. But the base game just came with this kind of, I wanted it to be, it was like, ooh, that's a great idea. And then, oh, but that's what they did with it. It's kind of the feeling. Now, Andrew Parks did Core Worlds. I love Core Worlds, and that actually came with a solo variant, a fan-made variant that I played a lot, that I like better than this official solo variant of a game that was kind of made to be solo, and it probably plays best solo. I don't know that for sure, but my sense is I don't think I'd teach someone to play this, because you can play it cooperatively, you can play it competitively, you can play it solo. My feeling is this probably plays best solo, because it does have some good things. I like the fact that it takes up a certain amount of space, and I don't have a big problem with the fact that they're just, you know, this is what you explore. They're just square tiles, but on them, you know, come some interesting monsters and some little challenges and stuff, which is fine. And they're colorful. And you got these little mini guys out here. The mini guys, though, that are kind of hard to line up sometimes with, you're like, okay, I'm playing this character. What's the miniature that goes with this character? What is this? It sort of looks like that one, but I think there's been time I played with the wrong miniature a couple times. And you're keeping track of 4 different characters, which is daunting. And it does get a little, but it wasn't even a brain burn. It was just like I had had to keep track of things and make sure I did stuff and put cards down in a certain way and remembered that I played those cards. And so it wasn't, again, brain burny. It was just more of like accounting and trying to remember stuff in a fashion that wasn't terrifically pleasing. And my favorite part of the game was how you deck build. I love that. I like how you've got these characters, and this character, for instance, is human and has, you know, this ability and that ability. These symbols represent something. That was a terrible one because I don't even know what any of those symbols meant, but here we go. Let's see. Grotar, this guy, what is that? Orc, and then he's an assassin, and then I don't know what that symbol is. Anyway, you had to get, if you bought cards, you had to make sure that you bought cards with the correct symbol on them, because the silver dagger, only a guy like Gwaltar could play it, but not Holgart, because he's not an assassin. He doesn't have that little knife thing on him. So I like that. I like you had to build your deck according to the heroes that you had, and the stuff that you could buy corresponded to how far you got in the game. So as you leveled up, got more experience, you got access to better cards. And I kind of thought that was pretty cool. That was my favorite part of the game, was the deck building part. And the monsters that are out here, there's a handful of them, but it's just, I don't know, it just didn't feel like they did enough cool stuff. And then maybe there's not enough, I don't know. The way that you played solo was with these cards here that would do certain things. First you had to do this, then you got to pick one of these two. If you couldn't do one of those two, then this bad thing happened. And that was okay. The cards aren't very pleasing to look at. They're just, yeah, it just felt, it felt like everything only went so far and then just not quite far enough for me. And so I like the game, but I'm going to have to, you know, score it pretty low as far as it has potential. And I think, for me anyway, in the summer, there's supposed to be more stuff coming out this summer, 2018, that could fix all that. Like another thing was the campaign. Well, it sort of talked about a campaign mode, but there was nothing there. There was no substance to the campaign, where I think that's going to be fixed. And, you know, if I open a treasure, I want some treasure. I don't want XP points. So, yeah, length of play, it was long. It's a long game. And it's when it's this kind of long game, you know, I wouldn't mind playing something like this for about 45 minutes and then being done. Not 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours. That's too long for this kind of game that isn't, like I said, brain burning. It's just sort of keeping track of certain stuff and I don't want to do that for that long. I don't know. Rulebook was fine. I thought it was well written, and it actually came with a little side section there for you to check out variants. A lot of the variants, though, I found like variants, I was like, that's the way you should play the game. There was some things that I immediately took to, and I was like, I'm always going to play that way. Like, for instance, a lot of times you'd play with the AI card up so you can plan for it each round. Well, I don't want to know what monsters are going to come out of nowhere and attack me. I don't want to know what dungeon tiles are gonna disappear. I don't want to plan for that. It didn't thematically fit with the dungeon delvey feeling. You know, like I said, this is all just me and my solo tastes. And the scoring at the end is there's nothing there. I mean, you just basically count up your XP tokens. You subtract some points for if you didn't explore some tiles and if you didn't kill all the bad guys. And then what's your score? And that was it. There was no table. There was no like way to rank yourself. And so that was, again, I thought it was clever though with your experience points. You actually use your experience points sort of like money. You just flip them over. You don't lose them, but you use your experience points to buy the cards, and that was kind of cool. I like that too. So so there's some cool stuff here, but just not enough to really grab me. Overall, this is this is a 7 out of 10, and could creep up into about 7.5, I'd say, if the summer stuff comes out and we get some good campaign abilities, and it just throws more stuff in there and makes the game just more exciting on a lot of different ends. It just felt like it got to a point, and then it just when I was thinking, oh, this is getting good, there was nothing left. And that's Dungeon Alliance. Hopefully that gives you an idea if this is something for you or not for you. And I'm Board Game Rants, and till next time, thank you for watching.